Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 9th episode of the Whatta podcast. Wow, 9 full episodes. You know how close that is to double digits? It's one away from double digits. That wasn't a funny joke. That was more of an assessment. Oh no, I've peaked the mic. Enjoy my laughter murdering your speakers. No, it's fine. It'll just forever tell me that the mic is peaked for the entire rest of the episode, because that's all I see. I have my notes in one hand, and then on the laptop screen where this is being recorded, it just yells at me for peaking the mic, which will happen every single time I laugh, and there's nothing I can do about it, because I'm not going to laugh quieter. What would that even sound like? Rather than the regular laugh, it's just, no, that'd be awkward. That'd be absolutely disgusting. No one would want to hear that. Okay, wow, what a way to start this. I've been drinking a lot of Starbucks coffee. Not from Starbucks. I think I'd die if I went into a Starbucks, and also because they're so expensive. No, I've been drinking a lot of their, the Frappuccinos that come in, like, the glass bottles, because to get a 4-pack of those is about the same price to get a small Frappuccino from the store, like, from an actual Starbucks, which is crazy to think about. So I'm getting more for my money. That's the thought. Thoughts don't leave my mouth. That's the sound. No, that's the sentence. Wow. What a good first 2 minutes. That's the sound that leaves my mouth every time I look at something and I'm like, this is a good deal. Which happens way too often now, and I want to say it's a sign of getting old. I would like to think no other thought than that maybe it's because I'm getting old. Because I do it with everything. And I went to go buy toothpaste a couple weeks back because I like to have one extra, right? Like, if I have one in use, I want to have just one more down below. So that way I don't have to do that weird struggle overlap that sometimes happens, where it's like, well, I don't have toothpaste currently, but if I go sneak over to, like if I was back home, like if I go sneak over to my mother's bathroom, I can just steal her toothpaste for like a week before I get another tube. Like, no. I've got an extra. But sometimes I'll see deals and I'll calculate in my head. I'll be like, okay, well, if this one tube of toothpaste costs $2 and this pack of 3 cost $4, then technically I'm getting a better value on the pack of 3 because one cost $2. But in this pack of 3 that's costing me $4, they cost 1 point whatever. Because I'm not actually going to do that math, even though I think it's just 1.333 repeating. Yeah. I'm sometimes good at math. Quick math? No. You need to give me at least 30 seconds, and then the math will be good. But yeah, I've become slightly addicted to these Starbucks drinks. I know that there are currently 3 in my fridge. Like, one is open, 2 are unopened, but I can promise you that there was a point when there were 12 all at the same time in there, and they've just been slowly being drunk over the course of, like, the past couple weeks. It's been something. It's keeping me energized, though, because I do not have the energy to coexist with some of the idiocies that I have to exist in when it comes to being in this campus. Because there's some big old idiots around here, and there's nothing I can do about it. I just have to accept that they're big old idiots. Anyways, that wasn't anything I had written down. That was just the thoughts that came to my mind. Now I'm going to get to the actual notes, which are a little insane. This first part isn't. I just want to say, the last video came out late. That's partially on me. Getting the videos out to you guys is a combo effort between me and Kingsley, who, for those who don't know, Kingsley is the kind soul that's making all of my thumbnails for everything. They make all the thumbnails for the other YouTube channel, so all of the video games that have thumbnails, that's Kingsley. Unless you go all the way back to the beginning, some of those are me. All of the posts on, like, my Instagram that have images, those are Kingsley. Like, Kingsley makes all the images for me. So if you couldn't tell, that's one human being doing every single image that I ever use. So that's a lot. That's a lot to put on one human being. So sometimes they don't get to me as quickly, and that's okay. It happens. And part of that was because I recorded the podcast late. I got the title to Kingsley late. I got a thumbnail back late. If I had recorded it earlier, it could have been avoided, but it is what it is. So I just want to say sorry that one was late. Don't think anyone's listening to it anyways, but oh well. I was also significantly more sick. That was the first day of like really bogged down sickness that occurred within me. I just finished off my medicine like a day or two ago, and I feel a lot better. I don't feel as sick. I definitely am still congested because I'm dumb and have never bought medicine on my own before, so I picked up medicine that was for people with high blood pressure, which meant that it didn't have any anti-congestion, like decongestion in it. It fought everything else off from the cold, except for the congestion. So now I'm just congested with no cold. And it's fantastic. It's wonderful. It's such a great time. But that's also why that video came out late, is because I felt like death. And sometimes, even when you feel like death, you're like, I can power through it. I can do the thing. And then you can't. And then you're just kind of there like, this was the worst mistake I've ever made. Hi, I'm Matthew Allen. And that's it. Yeah, so that's that. I just wanted to just be like, hey, sorry that came out late. That's on me. No one go to Kingsley for it. Okay, that's on me, fully on me. Okay, what else is in here? Oh, ding ding ding! This was brought to my attention, and I wanted to talk about it because it's an interesting thought. So, Jurassic World, the sequel trilogy to Jurassic Park, suffering from the same issue that every trilogy of movies has, which is, it's a trilogy, you know nothing bad is going to happen in the second movie that will drastically affect any of the main characters, because there's a third one. That seems to be the same issue many people have had with Halloween Kills that came out in October, because it's part of a trilogy. It's a confirmed trilogy. You know there's going to be a third movie. They can't do anything drastic to the main characters or the main villain because there's still one more movie. And so you're just in it for the story. And that's what happened in Jurassic World 2. There was really no stakes because you knew that Dominion, right? That's the name of the third one that will be coming out eventually. You knew that Dominion existed. And because you knew that existed, you were like, well, the second one's not going to have anything crazy happen. Like, Chris Pratt's not about to get devoured by a Tyrannosaurus Rex. But there's the main running force for the story in Jurassic World 2, Fallen Kingdom, is people are fighting to essentially enhance the rights of the dinosaurs on, is it Isla Nora, I believe? I believe that's the name of the island. Because, in a technical sense, they're an endangered species, and they're about to experience a natural disaster. This is the plot, if you haven't seen Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. The dinosaurs on the island has a volcano on it that is going to erupt, which would kill all the dinosaurs on the island. And if that happens, they would all die. And so they're advocating that the dinosaurs deserve the same rights as other endangered species, including the rights to be protected and preserved, which would mean that they would go rescue them from the island. But hey, these dinosaurs are clones. These aren't like you went back in time and picked up a couple dinosaurs and brought them to the future. These are dinosaurs that you made from dino DNA. They're clones. Which means in a technical sense that if they all just suddenly died and you needed more dinosaurs for some unknown reason, like if you wanted to open another park for the third time, you could just clone some more. And then it kind of brings into question some other things, which is really the meat of this idea. If you can clone dinosaurs, right, then it's not that you should advocate for the right that they, like endangered species, should be protected, but really that there shouldn't be endangered species anymore. Like, if I've got the ability to make a Tyrannosaurus Rex, heck, If I have the ability to make the Indominus Rex, and then whatever the one from Fallen Kingdom is that I can't remember the name of, where they combine the DNA of multiple dinosaurs to make it, you've just informed me you can create life. So how is there still an endangered species anywhere in the planet if you can just take some DNA and make 100 of them, make 400 of them, make thousands? Like, there shouldn't be a question of do they get the same rights as endangered species. It should be, how do we implement mass cloning so that all animals who are endangered species can have their population rebuilt? Even if they die out, just grab a little bone marrow from a carcass or something and just clone it up. Like, there shouldn't be any endangered species. The whole premise of Fallen Kingdom falls flat when you remember that they're all cloned beings. They're all cloned beings. And I know someone out there is going to be like, well, those are dinosaurs, dude. They specialized in dinosaurs. Maybe it only works for No. You know why I know it doesn't work for just dinosaurs? Because one of the big plot points for the end of the movie, for the end of Fallen Kingdom, is that this little girl who has been touted the whole time. Hey, sorry, spoiler alert, I guess. You obviously know where this is going if you've listened this far, but oops. They've touted that this little girl they spend the movie telling you is the daughter of this one old dude's dead daughter, so it's his granddaughter, is not his granddaughter, but is instead a clone of his dead daughter. But she's like her own person. Like, it didn't just make a mini version of his dead daughter. She's her own person with like thoughts and ideas and consciousness that he's just kind of been raising, and this belief that she is the daughter of the dead daughter, but she's a clone of the dead daughter. So she's human, which means they're able to clone people, which means they can definitely clone like a red panda or something, or an albino alligator. Can you imagine just 100 albino alligators being released into the wild by some cloning facility? Like, we want to see how natural selection will treat these animals. And then there's just 98 that are just caught by some alligator hunters. They're like, ooh, I've been searching a long time for one of these. I didn't think I'd find one in such abundance. Like, it sound like that. I hope they don't sound like that. That would actually be kind of funny, though. Just, ooh, just real close to bordering Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh, yeah, brother. I had to get away from the mic in order to do that voice. No one asked for that voice. Can you imagine a Macho Man Randy Savage podcast? That's the thought process happening right now. That sounds fantastic. Oh my gosh. Macho Man Randy Savage podcast. Oh yeah, brother. Today we're talking about Jurassic World Dominion. Okay, I can't do that voice for too long, I guess. Had to drink water to make up for that one. That's probably on the still being congested thing that I mentioned earlier. But yeah, no. Endangered animals shouldn't exist in the world of Jurassic World, because we can see that they can clone other things that aren't just dinosaurs. So the idea, like, it falls mute. And the fact that no one in the entire movie ever points that out is so ridiculous. Like, not a single person stops to say, hey, these dinosaurs are clones. Why not just make more of them if you're so concerned, rather than sending a group of human beings onto an island with an active volcano that is moments away from erupting, and it does erupt while they're on the island, right? So many lives are endangered by this decision to save these dinos. And I get it, right? As mentioned with the child, like, she wasn't just like the daughter again. She was her own being. That's why he raised her as the daughter of his dead daughter and not his daughter. So, like, all those dinos on the island are their own beings, and I get that, but, like, come on, guys. They're clones. That whole premise is so dumb. The moment you think about that, you're like, why are they risking their lives for these cloned dinosaurs when they still have all of the ability and facilities and the money to go make more cloned dinosaurs? Like, what? Stop your madness. Go make some more. Go make some more. Make me a more batter. More a dinosaur batter. I hated that. I'm sorry, Mario. Charles Martinet? Hey, I'm sorry. You're a wonderful being, given voice to 4 distinct Italian characters, all in the same world. And I butcher your existence every time I open my mouth and that Italian accent comes out. That's what I need. I need the Macho Man Randy Savage and Mario, as the movie canonized his name to be, podcasts. Just, oh yeah, brother, today I've got on my podcast Mario. Oh, let's go. Like, what? Oh my. Okay. This is. Maybe I should have never gotten my voice back. Oh man, oh man. Oh, what is my life? This is funny though. I do think this is funny. Anyways, moving on. So yeah, I'm sure someone else out there has thoughts about it, and I'm sure, like, I know there's a whole ethical side of it, like it's the whole conversation that Jurassic Park always sparks. It's like everyone was so busy figuring out that if they could do it, that no one thought about. No, that's not how the quote goes. But they're so busy figuring out can they do it that no one thinks about if they should. Like, you're so busy with this thought of like, oh my gosh, we can make dinosaurs. Like, we can really make dinosaurs. That no one's stopping and thinking, hey, but should we make dinosaurs? Because I don't think we should. And that's been the whole premise of Jurassic Park's ideology, is that man is so quick to jump on the idea of creating that we never stop to think about the, like, consequences of what we've created. So I'm sure there's a whole ethical thought process behind, yeah, we shouldn't just clone some more, but also we definitely could. If you still have the world where endangered species is a thought process, and you know you have the facilities and the abilities to just clone things and make them, and, like, they're perfect. Like, there's nothing wrong with them. Like, they're so perfect that you can take multiple strands of DNA from different things and create something new. And it functions and exists. And it's smart. Then, like, yeah. Go bring me a dodo. Give me a dodo bird. Dodo birds did not deserve the ends that they got. Saw all humans as being kind to them, and then all the humans hunted them to extinction. It's very sad. But that's the Jurassic World 2 cloning implications that I wanted to discuss here. And they're very goofy, and they brought out Macho Man Randy Savage and Mario. Moving on. This one's a very quick one. Hey guys, if someone is distracted, right? They're doing, like, work or something, and you're like, is something all right over there? And they're like, oh, I'm doing some homework. And your response was, oh, I was doing homework too. Hey, you're an asshole. You're an absolute dickbag. Nothing but a bag of just dicks. And that's what you are. And you like to munch on your own little bag of dicks because you are a bag of dicks. Hey, bud, if you're doing homework and then you stop doing homework to go do other things, and then you interact with someone else who is doing homework, and they're like, oh, sorry, I can't do what you're doing because I'm doing my homework right now, and your response is to say that you also did homework in order to invalidate their idea that they can't do what you're doing because they're doing homework, it means you're an asshole who can only make everything about yourself. Okay, this was a situation I encountered within the past week, and it really pissed me off. Because, hey, dude, I'm glad to know that in your mind, no one's thoughts can beat yours. Everyone is how you perceive it, and if it's not how you perceive it, then it doesn't exist. Apparently, you can only work to your benefit, I guess. So I hope you burn. Hope you burn in your ideology that everything must. If it's not as bad as you, then it's not bad. No, that's not how it works. We are human beings. Every human being is different, even from the human beings they're related to. No human being is alike. And if your thought process is that you did it, which means they can do it, so you're going to belittle them for being distracted from you trying to interact with them because they're doing homework and you finished your homework, I hope you die. All right, moving on. That's very dark, I know, but this world's filled with too many assholes. It's filled with too many, and even my comments are technically asshole in nature. And I know that. I know that makes me an asshole as well. But I'm an asshole towards the assholes, so it doesn't make me less of an asshole. It makes me an asshole with morals. Call me Rorschach. Moving on, something else I saw that I thought was interesting to be getting discussed in such a position of true discussion. Like, people were really debating this, and it blew my mind that this was the thing they wanted to debate. Kingdom Hearts is a video game. The whole premise, I'll boil it down to it's Final Fantasy meets Disney. So there are Disney characters who, if you know, there's a good chunk of them that are animals. And then there are human characters, you know, Final Fantasy side. Oop, I didn't mean to hit the mic. And there are human characters also from the Disney side in there too. But your main character is a human character created for the game. Him and his friends were created for the games. And they're within their own bubble. But the main character, Sora, he interacts and hangs out with 3 non-human characters. The 2 that join him for his adventures throughout the whole series is Donald Duck and Goofy. They fight with him, alongside him, and whatnot. And then they are sometimes led over by Mickey Mouse, because of course he is the leader for everything in this game. But the discourse that was occurring is people were debating why the Sonic 2006 game, which is a trash fire monster of a game. If you've ever heard someone reference Sonic 06, that is referring to the Sonic game that came out in 2006. That was insane, because it was a Sonic game, but with a bunch of human characters alongside Sonic. So you're like, oh, okay, it's in the vein of like Kingdom Hearts. But then also, the love interest for Sonic was a human, and not like one of the Sonic characters turned into like a human, but just like just human. Like, she was just human. She was human. And Sonic is a hedgehog who runs fast and eats chili dogs and probably has the worst breath you've ever smelled. And people were like, oh, so why is Sonic 2006 unacceptable, but Kingdom Hearts is just fine? Well, dude, I'm going to tell you. Because Sonic 2006 tried to put into the canon of the Sonic universe a human character for Sonic to fall in love with. Right? A human falling in love with this hedgehog, amongst the fact that the game was terrible, but just that was already gross, because bestiality is gross. That's what that is. You can't tell me otherwise. Look, if it was Amy, who I don't remember what animal she is, but she's a member of the Sonic team, if it was Amy, or even Rogue the Bat, who I do remember what animal she is, cool. No one would have cared as much. But because it's this human who was drawn in like the Final Fantasy style of drawing human characters and cutscenes, so they're super realistic. So she was an incredibly, for 2006, realistic human being next to Sonic the Hedgehog. And they fell in love, and it was uncomfortable. And that doesn't happen in Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, Sora goes on his adventures with Donald Duck and Goofy, and like fights evil. But if there was any person you could point at being a love interest for Sora, even for like a fleeting moment, if you like didn't know the franchise, you would say, oh, it's this girl in pink who is also a human, who is one of the characters that was created for the game to bridge the world between Disney and Final Fantasy. And you'd be like, well, that's okay, because they're both humans. All right. Now, I don't know the name of the princess from Sonic 2006, because I'm pretty certain she's a princess, too. Like, it's not just a human, okay? It's not just, oh, this is a person. This was a princess. I'm going to go Google Sonic 2006. Everyone's always like, why don't you do this beforehand? No one is like that. No one says it. It's supposed to be a reboot for the 7th generation of video game consoles. So fantastically awful. Even the Wikipedia page says that it's often referred to as Sonic 06, because it's just called Sonic the Hedgehog. But yeah. Let me go find the name of this character. Gameplay, plot. No, am I gonna have to go to plot to find her name? Princess Elise of Soliana. Princess Elise of Soliana. So Princess Elise, Sonic 2006, if you go and you Google it, right? Princess Elise, Sonic 06. And go over to images. You'll find the images of her, and you'll see that she's a human. Just straight up a human. And it's so uncomfortable to think about, hey, why'd she fall in love with a hedgehog? Why did this hedgehog fall in love with her? Why is this a thing? And it's uncomfortable. She's 17? Oh, that's so much worse. How old is Sonic in Sonic 06? 6. Oh, he's 15. Okay, that's slightly more acceptable. He's 15 years old. Which, that's even weirder. That is even weirder. This 15-year-old hedgehog that runs fast fell in love with this 17-year-old princess who's a human. And that's why we don't like Sonic 06, besides the fact that the game is trash. Okay? It's a dumpster fire game. Absolute garbage. And then also there's this love plot. And it makes everyone uncomfortable. And you would be too. Like, look, come on now. If you saw short teenage boy running through the streets fighting enemies with Donald Duck and Goofy by his side, you'd be like, oh, okay. Weird. But they're vibing. Whatever. But then, if you saw Sonic the Hedgehog speeding through the streets with a human princess in his arms, and then they like stop and they have like a really cute moment, you'd be like, no. And that's the appropriate response to that, because it's so uncomfy. That's so uncomfy. Also, 15? He's 15. In that game? He's a teenager. This is a teenager saving the world and then falling in love with a princess. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what love is. He wants to know. I want to know what love is. Yeah, I did that statement just so I could make that reference. And I'm sorry. Yeah, no, he does not know what love is. He shouldn't fall in love with a human princess. A princess, guys, she's a princess. That means her family rules a kingdom. For Sonic to fall in love with her it's a whole other separate set of issues, because it's a kingdom. Okay? It's not just like a person off the street. This is a princess. Okay? He'd have to get okays from her father, the king. Alright? He'd have to prove himself worthy, because it's a kingdom. Kingdom. You don't just let the peasant boy marry your daughter because they fell in love. No. That's the whole point of all of those romance novels, where that exact thing happens, and then they find a suitor, and then it's a peasant boy versus the suitor type situation. Would you make Shadow the Hedgehog the suitor of this situation? Because I think I would. Shadow the Hedgehog and his guns Everyone lost their mind when Shadow showed up with guns. They were like, whoa, he's got guns. He's edgy. He's a teenager. Because he was a teenager. Shadow the Hedgehog and Shadow the Hedgehog, which is the name of his game, was 16 in that game. He's running around with guns. And even his is better. You know why? Look, they gave him a human who was not nearly as photorealistic as Princess Elise, right? And his whole thing is that he was designed to, like, protect her. That was his purpose. Like, he protects her. He's not in love with her. She likes him because he's kind to her. But they never, like, what if we... Like, no, they never do that. They're just like, I am a protector. Or whatever Shadow sounds like. I feel like it sounds like something like that. Like something edgy in 2008-ish. Or 2005. I don't know when the game came out. He's like, I am the light. No, I am the darkness that will find you if you hurt her. Like something like that. I don't know what Shadow sounds like. But that's acceptable. Because even though she was a human, he was designed to protect her. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 has Sonic fall in love with this human, and the human falls in love with him. But why? No. That's why this discussion is so weird to me, that people are like, why is the Kingdom Hearts situation acceptable and this one isn't? Because Sora's not going around getting yucked by Goofy. Oh my god, if there's anything Disney will murder me for, it's that one. But yeah, Sora's not going around getting yucked by Goofy, alright? He's fighting evil with Goofy and Donald Duck and all his other friends, and sometimes Mickey Mouse, and sometimes the wizard from Fantasia. Like, they're all there. They're all fighting evil. Sometimes he gets some other friends. I know the third game, which I own but haven't finished, he's got Woody and Buzz at some points. It's very funny to just see Woody flexing on some fools. But, like, the whole premise isn't him trying to, like, get some. Right? He's saving the world. And yeah, Sonic's saving the world too, but Sonic's also saving the world and trying to get some. Okay? He's trying to get some of that Sonic drive. Is that a game? I was going for a pun based on a game name, but I don't think that's a real game. Was there a Sonic Mega Drive? Oh no, Sonic Sega All-Stars Racing. Okay. Oh wait, no. What is Sonic Drive? That popped up. What is that? Tell me what you are. I don't know what it is. Oh, I guess it's a move. It's one of his movesets. That's actually kind of funny. But yeah, no, it's so weird. It's so weird. And tell me down below. I'm sure anyone who's listening to this, out of the few people I know that do listen to it, will maybe agree with me and be like, yeah, it's weird for Sonic to fall in love with a human as a hedgehog, and it shouldn't be compared to the other situation where the humans and those animal characters are working together because they're not falling in love. Or maybe I'm wrong and you're insane and you think it's perfectly fine that they fell in love. You're like, well, no one should be judged for their love. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, yeah, don't want to judge you for your love of a human, like, of the same gender or who identifies in a different way. But not if you love a hedgehog. Not if you love a hedgehog in that way. That's how you get on a My Strange Addictions episode. You'll end up right up there with the guy who was, like, in love with his car. If you've never seen clips of that, don't. But there's nothing more hurtful to your eyes than to see a man, like, love a car. Not in that way, but it hurt me. It hurt me deeply. Yeah, moving on. So, I have a poster above my bed. It is a Stranger Things Season 3 poster. Because I wanted a different poster of Season 3, but the one I got is the one I got. You can't see it. Doesn't matter. You don't know. Just use your mind. Or Google. But it tried to flat Stanley me the other night. So, like, Friday night. And I was so hurt deep within my soul. But I was also so comfortable in bed that I just didn't want to move and put the poster back up. So for those who don't know Flat Stanley, Flat Stanley is a book series, right? And the whole premise is that this boy named Stanley, I forget his last name, but his name is Stanley, has a bulletin board fall on him in his sleep, and it flattens him like paper. He doesn't die. Like, this is a children's book, but he just gets flattened like paper, and he uses it to, like, solve a whole bunch of, like, issues. Like, he's able to go under a locked door and unlock it from the other side because he's flat like paper. He's able to be, like, put down into, like, a sewer drain, like one of those where it's all those, like, grates that no human being can reach down into if they drop something. He's able to go down there. His brother flies him like a kite at some point, which isn't really an issue per se. It's more just kind of funny. And his brother really was like, what if I just tie some string to you and fly you like a kite? My human sibling, who is now flat like paper. But yeah, so the poster it fell on me in the night, and literally as I laid there unmoving, all I could think to myself was, is this what Flat Stanley felt like? Just weirdly comforted. Because, like, it landed on me. Only the top part of the poster fell down, so the bottom part was still attached to the wall. So it was just draped across me. And I was like, this isn't that bad. Like, yeah, I can feel it if I move, but I was like, I could just continue to sleep. But then I was like, no, because if I move in my sleep, I'll mess up the poster and be upset with myself. So I had to put it back up. But then I had to go back down the rabbit hole of thought of, like, no one talks about Flat Stanley anymore. Flat Stanley sounds like a great idea for, like, a children's show. You know? Like, he could learn lessons, like, and whatnot. He has a distinct, like, ability that allows him to get into, like, multiple situations or hijinks easily. The CW could take over, and now he, like, fights crime, and, like, we'll see a shot where, like, an enemy goes to shoot at him, and he just turns sideways and, like, disappears, and the enemy's like, where'd he go? And they, like, run up, and as they run up, they see that he's turned like the camera moves, so rather than being paper thin, you see him, like, wide again, because he's, you know, flat, as the enemy approaches, and he just, like, turns and, like, envelops them or something, or gives them paper cuts. I don't know. I don't know the logistics of a boy who can be beat by an extra large fan. But I kind of want to see that CW show. That does kind of sound funny. The Adventures of Flat Stanley. That's the narrator voice for all the ads. In a world where a young boy is crushed? No. Where a young boy is flattened by a bulletin board, he finds solace in knowing that he can protect his city now. Oh, man, how terrible and wonderful it would be. But yeah, like, that was the thought that ran through my mind. Not the CW show. That was new. But just how Flat Stanley doesn't really resonate in anyone's mind anymore. And I think that's because Flat Stanley was written, like, a long time ago. I think Flat Stanley is from the 90s. Which is fine. Nothing wrong with books from the 90s. Everyone still reads sometimes and knows the Hardy Boys, or Nancy Drew, or the Choose Your Own Adventure books. All the things that make me sound old when I say them aloud. Even Harry Potter is from the 90s. And we all know how much people love Harry Potter. I just think that Flat Stanley could do with his time in the light. He deserves his time. And he's not getting it, but he deserves it. Because Flat Stanley's pretty solid. He's not solid. He's flat. And, like, it would be really fun too, because they could put him anywhere. Like, that's the whole fun of, like, the book series, is that he can fold himself up, right? Because he's paper thin now. And his family just kind of mails him out places. Like, they can mail him across the world, and he can just go on adventures because he's flat, and he can travel through the mail. And that's so much cheaper to send your child in, like, an envelope with a 25-cent postage stamp than it is to, like, put him on a flight. And I feel like he'd be a lot more safe as a flat person too, you know? Like, if this is gonna sound bad, but, like, if he was over, like, in the Middle East and something bad was happening, Flat Stanley can just attach himself to a wall, pretend to be a poster. He'd be the weirdest poster. Like, who put this poster of a boy cut out on the wall? But he's there. Or he could even like hide behind a bookshelf, like without moving it. Like he would just. That's the sound. I don't know if you could hear that, but that was the sound of me pretending to like slink back, just like behind the bookshelf, because he's flat. Like if anyone sees that, they're not gonna think that's a person. They're gonna think, oh, what a weird space for this cardboard cutout that if they pull out, they'll see is a little boy. There's just a lot of potential to the idea of Flat Stanley, and I feel like putting this out into the internet means that the CW is now definitely going to go buy the rights to make this show. And it will fall apart even harder than the Powerpuff Girls one that they wanted to do. That was just weirdly filled with just sex and meth, which is also what Riverdale is filled with. But the difference is Riverdale was based off of a comic. So you know what? I can't fight them on that one. There's a Riverdale comic made by the same company that also made the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina comic, which is why they're both darker versions that sometimes cross over because they're like literally towns apart. But like Flat Stanley has so much potential to him. Like he could do so much. There's almost nothing that Flat Stanley can't do. And I know like there would be some like peril, like if someone's like got like a fan positioned at him and then they like flip the fan so that it's like sucking in air, like it would be a harrowing little adventure. Like how does Flat Stanley get out of this one or something, right? He's got to like land like flat across the front so he can like hit the switch and turn off the fan. That would be cool. I'd watch that. I would watch the Flat Stanley Adventures. Put that on Netflix. Put it right alongside the Magic School Bus Rides Again. Because then maybe someone will watch the Magic School Bus Rides Again. That show that's somehow not a reboot because Miss Frizzle is not Miss Frizzle. It's like her cousin or something. And I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. Flat Stanley is so interesting. Most children's books are interesting. I remember I read one back in elementary school, and it was a whole like series of books, and everyone was reading them, so like the next book would be like checked out already, and you'd have to hope you got back in time when like it came back in before someone else checked it out. And I can't even remember what the books were about, like, or what they were called. Like, it was like these children, these two like kids, like living in this like magical home with like their grandfather. This is the worst description. Magical home with grandfather. See if I can find this. Not the borrowers. I don't think I'll be able to find this. Wait, oh my gosh, is that it? It is! I found it. Fablehaven is a 2006 fantasy novel written by Brandon Mull. Yeah, okay, it's centered on two siblings, so I remembered that part. Kendra and Seth Sorensen, who visit their grandfather's mansion. Okay, I was right about that part too, which unbeknownst to most of the world is a reserve for mystical creatures. Oh, that's right. It wasn't that it was just it just straight up, it was a reserve for like mystical creatures to live in peace. The grandfather and the caretakers are eventually kidnapped by goblins, forcing the siblings to find and rescue them, while a witch named Muriel plans to unleash a powerful demon named Bahamut. Yeah. Okay. I really forgot. Yeah, okay. There were multiple, right? Yeah, it was a 5-book series. Fablehaven, Rise of the Evening Star, Grip of the Shadow Plague, Secrets of the Dragon Sanctuary, Keys to the Demon Prison. Yeah. Has they ever made a movie? He wrote and released a 5-book sequel series to the Fablehaven series known as Dragon Watch, Caretaker's Guide to Fablehaven. Oh. Okay. Oh, no, Caretaker's Guide to Fablehaven is a different book. Interesting. Oh, wow. The sequel series had its final release literally last month, October 26, 2021. That's insane. I didn't know those books were still running. I can't believe I found that based off of, this is my search query, book series with siblings living in magical, what does it say? Magical home with grandfather. And it gave me the book. It gave me Fablehaven. 2006 is when that first book came out. My word. 2006. What grade would I have been in? Because I had to start preschool a year later. So not... when did I turn 4? In 2005, and they wouldn't let me in. So I started in 2006? So then kindergarten would have been 2007. First grade would have been 2008. So the books would have been started, their roll. They would have been on their roll out. It was a fun series. I don't actually remember if I finished it, but I know I had fun reading it. Because that's a very interesting concept, at least back in 2006 for children. That was a very interesting concept. The idea of like being sent to live with your grandfather, and like you find out that his like mansion home is just home to mystical creatures. And they're just living there. And then goblins take him and the other caretakers, and you and your sister are forced to go save them. Oh man, I remember the book cover used to scare me. I was scared of the witch on the cover because I'm a child. Well, I was a child. Has Brandon Mull written anything else? The Candy Shop War. That sounds familiar. I think I read that too. I did read The Candy Shop War. Yeah. The story follows a boy named Nate and his friends who become the recipients of magical candy from magicians seeking a powerful treasure. Yeah, okay. I remember that one. Because it was interesting to me as well. John Dart. Captured. Shoot the draught for white. I'm reading this like... Yeah. There was a sequel? Arcade Catastrophe? I don't know this book. The Candy Shop War Arcade Catastrophe. Released in 2012. I think at that point, that might have been when I switched from like books to more like manga and comics. Because I have a hard time with reading. This sounds dumb. But I just have a lot of difficulty with staying focused with reading, so I often will resort to books with less words. Now, if someone asks me to read aloud to them, I can do that really well. I'll even do voices. I have a lot of fun with that. It keeps me engaged, but just by myself, I get too easily distracted. And I think that has to do with kind of just growing up as a human being with technology. I mean, look at just right now. I'm recording a podcast on a laptop, looking at the notes I wrote for the podcast on a cellular device. With enhanced searching capabilities. In fact, I'm searching up on the phone all these other things and pieces of information that I've learned in order to say it here in the podcast. And I think that's insane. Like, growing up with technology has really it's done a lot of good, and it's also done some bad. There are aspects of it that just really didn't help me as a person, and there are some that I'm like, well, I don't think I'd be the same person if I didn't have some of these. And like that's just kind of how the nature of the beast goes. With every advancement, there's something that it comes at some form of a cost, and that's okay, kind of, as long as the cost isn't human life. I like to read. I've got I had a whole bookshelf in my room back home, but when I was doing my like repurposing and cleaning, I made my books kind of public domain in the house. So I was like, if anyone wants to read these, you can read them. They're here. Like, you know, I didn't want to limit access. I felt weirdly restrictive with how I had my books before, which is kind of my own change. Personally, I've realized how reserved and like to myself everything was. So now I'm much more open with certain things like that. Obviously, there's still some things that like are mine. Like, if I bring candy into this home, I brought it in for me. I will share if you ask. Just don't just take it. But yeah, man, Fablehaven, the Candy Shop War. This is bringing back memories. Both of these are bringing back memories. Brandon Mull looks so goofy. He looks like such a generic man. Like, that's not an author I could see on the street and be like, that's Brandon Mull. Like, if I saw Stephen King on the streets, I'd be like, oh my god, it's Stephen King. I would 100% be able to recognize that guy. Or even R.L. Stine, who just looks like a discount Stephen King. Which kind of says a lot. Why do horror authors look alike? But yeah, like if I saw those two on the street, I'd be like, oh, that's Stephen King. Or if I saw a discount Stephen King, I'd be like, you must be R.L. Stine. But if I saw Brandon Mull, I'd just kind of be like, hey, look, it's a guy. Especially right now, while we're still in the pandemic with our mask and everything, that would be impossible. I don't even think I could recognize Stephen King with a mask. I can barely recognize him anyways. Go read Fablehaven. No, I'm kidding. You don't have to do that. Do you guys want me to read Fablehaven? What if I just spend the next 40 podcast episodes reading Fablehaven, the franchise, to you? What if I did that? That would be an interesting thing. Like, I have like a chunks of the podcast that are dedicated to just like reading books, and I'll give them fun and wacky voices. Would you guys be interested in that? Because that sounds like fun. I would be able to get through the Harry Potter franchise again. I would definitely 100% start with the Harry Potter books, not Fablehaven. Sorry, Fablehaven. But would I be like copyrighted for that? They're like, hey, you can't read this. There are people we've paid to read this. I wonder. That sounds like an interesting topic to look into for next time. Thank you guys so much for joining me for the What a Thought podcast. If you liked it, make sure to leave a like and comment down below. Tell me what other things you're open to hear me talk about. I'm open to anything so long as it's appropriate. Obviously, I've talked about some heavier topics in previous episodes, which is fine within reason. Like, I'm not going to go talk about anything insane or crazy. I'm 100% going to avoid politics until, I don't know, episode 100. Nobody hold me to that. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for joining me for the What a Thought podcast. I'm sorry that you had to hear Macho Man Randy Savage and Mario in there, but hey, you know, that sparked us down to a road of questioning of, should I read you guys some books? Would anyone be interested in that? These are the thoughts. So thank you guys again. I've been Matthew, and this has been the What a Thought podcast. See ya.